Welcome to the Mire the Merrier. We have a lot of friends who have expressed an interest in coming to visit us here in Koh Samui, and many of them are not really international travelers. We realize that people don't really know how to go about making a trip like a visit to Koh Samui, even if they are people that would love to go and know they have a place to stay when they get here. So we thought it might be helpful for our friends and our family, and maybe some other folks who are in the subscribers column, to just take a look at how we plan our trips when we go abroad. And this is about the same that we've always done when we've traveled. We started traveling together about almost 15 years ago. And when our oldest child was born, she went on her first trip to Hawaii when
9
she
months.
was 8 months old.
Oh,
And then she came to Thailand
9
with
months.
us at 10 months old. So basically, the way that it works out for us is we kind of decide when we want to take the trip. Now, when the kids weren't in school, it was pretty easy to take the trip whenever it made sense as far as the weather was concerned. In Chicago, it's cold during the winter, so our tropical trips ended up going
January.
in January and February. But that doesn't necessarily happen when you have small children who can't really miss school. So take a look at your schedule, think about when you want to travel. Keep in mind, if you do a search for Thailand, that the rainy season is different everywhere. So when we live in Koh Samui, the rainy season here is kind of end of October, a lot of November, and getting into December. In Phuket,
I'm not going to speculate on the other sides, but I know it's different.
rainy
I
season.
I don't know for sure. So
Well, all right. So, but it is
It's
going to be
different
different
everywhere.
places, and if you want to go to Chiang Mai, then you have to be concerned about the burning season. So just take a look at the weather before you decide where you want to go. We use a site called.
I will say one thing about the weather. The weather forecast here every single day, if you look on your weather app, is going to show you that it's raining. That's how it's been since we got back from the States, and I think it rained maybe twice, just a little bit. So keep that in mind. Even if it is cloudy, it's still really warm.
We use something called Kayak. A lot of folks use Sky
Sky
Scanner.
scanner is what I've seen people.
And it just kind of depends on what you like. We use Kayak because it works well for us. And so say you live in St. Louis and you think, well, I want to fly out of St. Louis. That's fine, but probably what you're going to want to do is take a look at flights from a major hub in your country. So in the United States, it's going to be something like JFK or Miami or Chicago's O'Hare or LAX. Those are going to be the major airports that are going to have the most international flights to a lot of different places. And then you'll want to find that international airport place that you're going. So in our case, we don't want to stop in Bangkok forever, but we do want to get to Bangkok because it is that airport that has the most flights coming in and out. What I want to do is just get onto Kayak and try to book something. So in our case, I'm going to say, well, let's do a round trip flight. And I want to put in the number of flyers and their basically ages. So 3 between 2 and 11, 2 adults 18 to 64. I'm going from, let's call it Chicago O'Hare. I'll do all Chicago airports, but O'Hare is really the one that's going to come up. And then I'm going to do Bangkok. I'll go ahead and click the button for all Bangkok airports. And then I'm going to just take a look at the dates that are available. Now I see if I leave at the end of January, the flights are going to be less expensive. The green flights are the least expensive flights. So let me just say, well, I don't necessarily care which day I leave. I'm going to do plus or minus 3 days on the departure and on the return. And just kind of throw in, let's say, the 22nd of January through February 5th. And that will get me a couple of weeks. So I'll just hit the search button and see what pops up. Again, I have flexible dates here and I'm getting a grid. Now, you can start seeing this populate, and the cost, the red one is going to be the high cost. You're going to see green that are going to be the low cost. So I'll go ahead and just kind of take a peek here. The lowest price flights are going to be Sunday, leaving Sunday or Monday, January
19th, or 20th, and then coming back February 3rd, 4th, or 5th. So I can kind of just decide what I want to do. Now, based on this, I can put my cursor over the top and I see, oddly, that Turkish Airlines is the cheapest option on those dates. Now, I say oddly because we have been making these trips for, I don't know, 13 years, and we have never flown an airline that takes us east in order to get to Thailand. But in this particular case, that might be the deal. So it'll give you a summary, the cheapest, which is $859, and it will give you a best, which is $1 more, but you can see that the flight time is over 3 hours less. So, I mean, that for the dollar, yeah, that's, I mean, I would pay obviously a decent amount more to stay 4 hours out of an airport. So you can go ahead and just sort of take a look at these things. Now, in this particular case, you see what we would typically see, which is flights on ANA and there and back, 23 hours there, almost 24 hours there, 21 and a half hours back. But let's zip down to those least expensive flights. And one is on Cathay, so it's just a little bit more, $1 more, than the Turkish flights, which are the cheapest. But you can see you're flying through Hong Kong on the way there and back. Cathay is a Hong Kong airline. And you can see that the flights are 20 and a half hours there, 19 and a half hours back. So you're saving yourself an incredible amount of time. So in this case, my thought would be your best deal is going to be on Cathay, even though it's $1 more. Now, I don't generally use this button where I view the deal. I'll just go ahead onto the Cathay site and see what they have at that point.
Taking a look at those flights, you may see that just moving the trip a day here or there can make a significant difference in the fare that you pay. And if you're flying with 5 people like we are, that $100
it doesn't have to be much of a difference to add up in a hurry.
That's right. And then just kind of take a look and see where you're going. Now, you might get on there and find that you're looking at airlines that you're really not familiar with. So when we fly, we are typically looking at those American, United States airlines, things like Delta Airlines. You might find that you have a flight on Korean Air instead. They're going to have code shares, and so you might be on a Delta flight, but it really is going to be a Korean Air plane once you leave, in our case, Chicago. You can go direct from Chicago to Seoul's Incheon Airport on Delta with the code share of Korean Air. Mm-hmm. You can go American code share JAL into either Tokyo Airport, or you can go United Airlines code share ANA into either Tokyo Airport. So don't shy away from flying on those international carriers. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really like Korean Air, JAL, ANA, Cathay. Who else?
I don't know that we've ever flown Cathay, but I think,
But anyway, the planes are very nice. There's a lot of, I'm 6'2", and I have plenty of leg room in coach. The staff is really nice. Everything about it is just great. The transfer lounges in the airports are fantastic. You can rest, shower, things like that. So.
Right, and there's actual silverware on flights, and I think sometimes people are surprised at that when they're used to flying United States Airlines. And then if you find that it's an international carrier, be comfortable with that. What I found anyway, is that anytime we do buy a ticket on any of these airlines, we are seeing that we get 2 check bags, which are 23 kilograms each, which is 50 pounds. And then you can have a carry-on bag and a personal item, and that's a lot of stuff that you can take. Now, all right, the video was just getting too long, so we're going to leave it with just these tips about setting your flights so that you can make an international trip, and we'll put together some other information on travels, and see you later.